All right. Welcome to the Adventures of Alcaraz podcast. My name is Julian Alcaraz.
And I'm Miranda Alcaraz, and this is week 15 to 16 of the pregnancy podcast. We are here, if you're watching this and you can see us, we are in, I don't even know, this isn't really a conference room, it's more like a game room.
It's a game room for sure.
Here at a hotel in Middletown, New York. We're out here for a trip, getting ready for 2020 Street Parking Summer Camp. We were here. We landed on Wednesday, went to camp Thursday. We're going home today, but we wanted to film this so we don't have to do it tomorrow or the next day because it's Friday.
Exhausting. Yes.
Yeah, so if you see people walking around in those windows back there, just enjoy because who knows what they'll do. Tomorrow I will be 16 weeks pregnant.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. I know one of the things that we were talking about was just how big he's getting now and how you're actually feeling him move inside
a little
of you.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Or it could just be me thinking that's him and it's not. It's just like normal bodily functions.
The other day, you were like, the other night, you were actually very convinced. You're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I know I felt him.
Yeah, so I do think I can feel him. He's still really low, like when we feel, because when I lay down on my back and I just relax, you can feel like a hard bump where like all of that, it's not just him, like the placenta and the whole thing, you can feel it. So you can definitely feel where it is. We've listened to his heartbeat maybe 4 times?
Yeah, numerous times, and it's pretty exciting every time we do it.
We always find it. It's around 140 beats, I feel like, on average. But yeah, so I was just looking up on my Bump app that tomorrow he'll be the size of an avocado. Now that means nothing to me because we witnessed an avocado yesterday that was the smallest thing I've ever seen in my life.
This is like so baby. I was like, okay, well this is
versus you'll see massive avocados.
Yeah,
so I don't know,
like an avocado from Mexico or an avocado from California.
I guess an avocado from New York there because that was small.
Yeah, that was pretty lame actually.
But it says 4.6 inches, 4.61 inches, wow. By the way, and 3.5 ounces. I do know what 3.5 ounces looks like because of how much I've weighed and measured my food over the years.
For sure.
That's pretty, that's getting up there.
It is. Serving of protein.
For some people, not for you.
No, not for me.
But it's like what they'll give you at a restaurant on your salad for the most part, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. This thing says that he can hear our voices now. So that's cool.
Some reading to him.
The coolest part is, because I used to sing to Knox a lot, I remember when we would go to movies with Knox in my belly, how wild he would get.
When it was loud.
When it was loud movies. Yeah. It was actually aside from right after I would work out, he would get really wild. Mm-hmm. At movies, it was the most wild he would get. So that's kind of cool. I'm excited for that. I'm excited to know that he can hear our voices specifically because he will be able to hear Knox's voice.
Yeah.
He's got to get used to it. Because it's out. He talks a lot.
Yeah, he does. He's just really chatty. It's been really cool this past week seeing Knox understand more of what we're trying to tell him. We got little books to kind of say like little brother books. And he likes them.
Don't forget not to say his name.
Yeah, no, for sure. We had little brother books, and then just constantly reminding him to say, good morning, good night. Oh. Constantly reminding him to say, good night, baby brother. Good morning, baby brother. And
he's going to have to bleep it out now. Don't forget, Salvi. So much extra work for Salvi now.
But yeah, it's just really cool to see that. And it's almost like he's really excited. And he knows how to say his name, all that.
Yeah, well, so my mom had sent Knox a shirt with a dinosaur and then a dinosaur egg, and it said, I'm going to be a big brother. Mm-hmm. And it was crazy because I was like, Knox and brother. Mm-hmm. See? That's how you do it. Mm-hmm. And he was like, and I would point to the egg and say brother or whatever, and he hit the egg. He's like, crack, crack.
Yeah, brother crack.
Yeah, he was trying to crack him open. I was like, not yet. But yeah, it's cool. I feel like he gets it, but
yeah,
who knows?
It's been cool too, just because also we've been making that transition to getting him to be potty trained, so we don't rush it when baby gets here. He's doing an amazing job. Knox is. He's switching over to little undies, which is awesome, and then. we're trying to get him to transition into his new room. So slow moves as opposed to rushing everything.
Where he feels like the reason is because baby brother showed up and now he's being booted out of his room and expected to like change his habits and everything. So
so we're getting him excited to make those moves, and he's kind of taken them very well. Every week you start seeing just even his development as well, which is great because these are just things you don't really think about until the time's gone and you're like, oh man. Mm-hmm. So letting him process it is very important.
Yeah, the other thing that it says in here is baby is growing hair, lashes, and eyebrows. And I'm interested because and we talked about this before, like you start to wonder, what's my baby going to look like? Who is he going to look like? And now it's like, who's he going to look like? Is he going to look like Julian? Is he going to look like me? Is he going to look like Knox, who has a lot of my features but has some of yours as well? Is he going to look completely different than Knox? So knowing that stuff's forming is like so exciting. I remember talking because Knox has these like crazy blue gray eyes, right?
Yeah.
And I remember when Knox was in my belly telling him, make colored eyes. I don't think I specified blue because I didn't even think of, because my eyes are green.
Yeah.
So I didn't even think of blue as like an option really. Mm-hmm. We just said colored eyes and I told him. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But that's interesting to see. It does say that I should be able to start feeling him more and more as he gets stronger. Knox was super active, but not every baby is, so maybe he'll be more chill in there. I don't know.
We'll see.
Obviously we traveled this week, which, I mean, I was telling Salvi the other day, like, it hasn't been, I feel pretty good for the most part. We actually got really good sleep the last 2 nights.
Yeah, long hours.
Like 9 hours. Mm-hmm. Of sleep, which never happens at home. And even though we're on a different time schedule, I mean, we've been going to bed here around midnight, which is 9.
Which is awesome.
And waking up at like 9:30 here, which is 6:30. Like, we need to just take that home with us, I think.
I'm definitely going to take it home. Absolutely. And I know, one of the obstacles we faced before when we try to talk about going to bed early, the beauty is now that we have a more solid team and a structure that allows us to kind of get into that routine, because who knows how that will interrupt it with new baby coming, because we just don't know how he's going to sleep, right? Mm-hmm. And so, especially now more than ever, trying to catch up as much sleep as we can, because it really does take a toll on us. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you can start seeing now why people, parents just struggle and get in arguments and have so many obstacles.
Mm-hmm. You're just tired, like.
That's the thing. Yeah, it's just the sleep. It really is just the sleep.
It really messes you up.
Big time.
Yeah.
We're doing a lot of reading, obviously, and a lot of these books talk about health and sleep, or just exercise and sleep being some of the most important things that you can literally do for your body. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of us start wondering why, when we don't sleep, we feel like we're hungover. It's because the brain is just zapped. Anything like 6 hours or under puts you in that, but that's even uninterrupted sleep.
I mean, that still, I don't have an option. I peed 3 times last night.
Yeah, so all those things, just you start to see and understand now why you're feeling so groggy and unmotivated, because no one really sleeps.
No one in the house was sleeping.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say the peeing has really, really increased for me. It's gotten, especially with travel and the airplane and everything, it's gotten really annoying, but I feel so thirsty all the time.
Yeah.
So it's not the greatest. And then I was talking to Kim, one of our employees, the other day about how I was worried, and I think I've mentioned this even last week on the podcast, that I hadn't gained weight for 3 weeks. And I haven't weighed myself this week. I'll weigh myself tomorrow or Sunday after we get home. And I didn't feel like my belly was getting bigger. I was like, I'm still buttoning my pants, and I'm still like, I hope, because we aren't getting the ultrasounds that we got with Knox, I've still had worries about that. She told me not to worry about it, but I feel that like the day after I said that, it was like the universe or God or whatever heard me, and I feel that my belly has grown now since I was telling Kim that like 3-4 days ago.
Yeah.
It definitely feels bigger, and you can see it not in like a hoodie, but you can see it in normal clothes, like a normal t-shirt. If I were to stand up, you can definitely see it in some of the photos we've taken lately and stuff. So that's kind of fun. Yeah, I guess
it really is, actually.
I mean, in a way. Mm-hmm. I've definitely hit the stage where I don't feel like I had already not really felt like attractive, but I really don't like feel like great just like rolling around in like a bra or like underwear or like whatever. I feel like I'm wearing a fat suit
right now.
Yes. And I know it's going to get so much more. And it's still a long time. It's still like we're not even halfway there. And then afterwards you feel even like weirder because there's no belly or baby in the belly, and it's just you kind of are in a fat suit at that point.
I want to bring up something actually that you brought up I think a week ago or something. And this is just your body. So this is your experience, right? Anything we talk about here is not meant for debate or discussion with other individuals because this is our experience.
Right.
But you were talking about how you started noticing cellulite on your legs.
On my butt. Not on my legs.
On
so
your
much,
butt, yeah.
on my butt.
So what did you think about that?
I mean, I think we talked about this a little bit last week too. Were you on the podcast with me last week, or did I do it alone? Yeah, I talked about it a little bit last week because I did have that happen with Knox, and I do remember specifically Googling that when I was pregnant with Knox, because it was for sure the first time that I had experienced that. But you'll just like catch an angle in the mirror when you're like, you know, getting out of the shower or whatever, and you're just like, oh my gosh. I mean, you're the only person that sees that right now, which honestly, in general, I think a lot of people worry more about what strangers think of their body than their spouse. I'm not that way. I care more about what you think by far. So I don't love it. And I know it's going to be like, probably if I have 5 months left of the pregnancy, it's going to be at least like, even if I get to a place where it goes away, which who knows, you can't like expect that, right? Because people's bodies change with pregnancy. It's going to be at least like 8 or 9 months from now. So it's not, I mean, it's tough. And I always say, and maybe this wouldn't make a difference, I don't know, because you're the only person I've been with while being pregnant, but like I feel that it's harder because you're so, to me, like just so attractive, and you're just like over here the leanest he's ever been. And like I was telling him the other day, I was like, every way that you just are is like a sexy pose. I was like, you sleep in like this like hand over, like leg out, like looks like an advertisement for the sheets or something, I don't know. And I just feel so like frumpy and not that. And so I don't know if that makes, maybe it wouldn't matter, but I think it makes it a little harder for me. Like even on the airplane, he's just like leaning into the seat, and like I'm walking back from the bathroom, and it's like tricep and shoulder, and he's just like leaning, you know.
Appreciate all the nice words you're saying to me, but
I'm just like the pregnant lady walking down the aisle.
But I love that though. You know, that's what it's interesting. Like our different points of view. Like all your insecurities for me are like a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So.
And I know I'm lucky because a lot of husbands are not saying that. They're just like, I mean, some spouses are really mean. They'll like tell their wife they look fat and stuff like that. Like, I'll tell them that they're worried about it, or just ignore them or whatever. And I don't have that, but it's just in my head for sure.
For sure, that's understandable. I mean, your body's changing. I remember I would always complain to. I don't complain to Salvi, but I would tell Salvi I acknowledge my body was different. Even 7 months ago.
He really brings up how he felt about himself in like March.
Absolutely, had to really just. And that was.
But I thought you looked fine.
Exactly, yeah. So, I get where you're coming from.
That was just too many vanilla lattes or whatever. Salvi's like laughing back there.
It was just too many. It was dairy in my coffee.
Too much mint syrup in your.
Oh my gosh.
Lattes.
Hashtag never again. Very aware, but it's fun. You know, this whole process is just all learning and things that we're all going to be able to come back to, and it's just part of it. It really is part of it.
Yeah.
You know, for you guys especially, and people don't talk about it enough. I know from my point of view, it's really cool seeing your body change, just because I know what's coming from that. But in your body, that's a whole different feeling.
Yeah.
You know,
I guess on the flip side of it, so I'm 37 now, and I'll be 37 still when the baby is born, and then a few months later we'll be 38. I kind of 40 is like that milestone birthday that I think it's equal for men and women, but women especially are like they get really nervous about turning 40 because there's like stigma about women getting older. And I feel, because I do know that we don't plan on having another child, at least not intentionally, that kind of like makes me psyched, because it's like, okay, I'll have 2 years before I'm 40 to like really take my body back for my own thing and feel good once I hit, and that gives me like 2 years. So it's not going to feel like rushed or anything to feel super pumped about where I am when I turn 40. So that's cool. The other thing that came up this week before we like wrap this up is I posted about potentially
the home birth,
doing the home birth. And right now, I mean, this is like a video of me talking about maybe the idea of doing it. There are 361 comments on that. Wow. And it's like, have you read any of them?
No, I choose not to.
Okay, that's maybe good. But they're either best experience ever, everyone should do it if they can, life-changing, amazing. That's like, I would say that's probably like 3/4 of them, 2/3. And then the other 1/3 or 1/4 are, this is definitely a bad idea. You're probably going to die. Like, there's like not, and there are people who are like, hey, I can see why you're saying that, but probably don't do it because of, and then just the list of things that can go wrong. Mm-hmm. And it's really, people have very strong opinions. Obviously, a lot of the people that are really saying don't do that are people who work in hospitals, mm-hmm. and they see either things
all the things that can go wrong.
All the things that can go wrong, or people that are brought in from home births who have to like, so it's definitely still up in the air. I wouldn't say that it's like 100% decided one way or another. But yeah, it's all considerations, because at the end of the day, like, you do need to, it shouldn't be a selfish decision. I love how a couple of them were like, yeah, you might be more comfortable at home. And I'm like, I don't know if comfortable is the word I would use. Mm-hmm. Like, because birth is not comfortable. I don't care where you go. Like, mm-hmm. it's really hard and painful. It's just, I've had bad experiences in hospitals myself. And if I don't need the hospital, I would prefer not to go there. Yeah. But at the same time, you don't want to put the baby or myself at risk, obviously. So it's like, am I doing this for selfish reasons because I just hate hospitals, or am I doing this because I really think it's best for me and the baby? So the biggest piece of advice that I got, and of course the DMs came rolling into of like stories or people who are midwives or people who work in the hospital, is to research your midwife really deeply, because there are you can find out what levels of like complications midwives will allow versus not allow, like how careful they are versus kind of how they will just kind of let it go a little bit too long. And so the biggest piece of advice was just really researching that, and then researching like what the plan is if you do need to be transferred, because there are some comments on there too of people who started a home birth and were transferred and still said, I would still try to do a home birth again if it was an option for my pregnancy, because it really was a good experience, but I had to be moved or whatever.
Of course.
So just researching all of that and figuring out like how long would it take to get to the hospital, and how careful is my midwife, because you would of course want somebody who's like, hey, like, isn't going to push it too far or whatever. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, lots to still figure out, which is exciting.
Yeah. So we still need to go look at the birthing center. Mm-hmm. And I know that at one of the hospitals near us, they have like a midwife run like birthing center attached to the hospital. On the flip side, I guess for the hospital, there are comments in there that say like they intentionally, because there was only one doctor and there was a bunch of women in labor mm-hmm. at the hospital when I was delivering, they intentionally slowed down my birth because they needed to like almost like put us in order. Wow. And I was like progressing too fast. Uh-huh. So things like, I mean, they're on a schedule over there, and they have their protocols. So it's all things to think about. We'll look into it more. It does sound great just to be able to take the baby and go lay down in our bed and go to sleep at home and not have to get in the car and drive and have food ready and everything.
Of course.
If possible, but we'll keep looking into it.
We will. All right, well, with that, we'll wrap up this week's episode of Adventures of Alcaraz.
We'll go catch our flight.
We will. We're going to catch our flight. My name is Julian Alcaraz.
I'm Miranda Alcaraz.
We'll check in with you guys soon. Bye.